Stop. Before you reach for what you always reach for when you get dressed, I need you to think about something that almost nobody in the style world talks about directly enough. Your accessories are doing more work on your overall appearance than almost any other part of what you wear. More than the cut of your blouse. More than the color of your trousers. More than the length of your skirt. Because accessories are the details the eye finds last, and what the eye finds last is what it remembers. And right now, for a significant number of women over 60, what the eye is finding and remembering is the wrong thing entirely. And before we begin, I want to say something that I think matters. The mistakes on this list are not about spending. They are not about having the wrong things. Most of the women who make every mistake on this list own beautiful pieces that are doing nothing for them because of how they are being used. The fix in almost every case is not acquisition. It is attention. And attention costs nothing. In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through 6 accessory mistakes that are quietly undermining the elegance of almost every woman over 60 who makes them. And here is the part that matters. Not one of these requires spending a single new dollar on anything at all. Every single fix on this list is something you can do tonight, with what you already own, simply by seeing your accessories differently than you have been seeing them. And the number one mistake on this list, the one I am saving for the very end of this video, is the one that is most common, most visible, and most immediately fixable. Stay with me. Let us count down. Mistake number 6. Plastic or cheap-looking jewellery. And this one is uncomfortable because it involves something that most women over 60 have been told is acceptable, or have simply never thought critically about. Mistake number 6 is wearing accessories that look cheap. I want to be precise about what I mean, because this is not about the price of what you own. It is about what the material communicates at a glance. There is a specific quality that certain accessories have, a lightness, a shininess, a plasticky finish, a thinness of metal, a uniformity of texture, that reads immediately as low quality to the eye. And when an accessory reads as low quality, everything worn alongside it reads as slightly lower quality too. The blazer looks a little less considered. The blouse looks a little less intentional. The whole outfit loses something it did not have to lose. Here is why this matters more after 60 than it did before. In younger decades, a cheap accessory worn with confidence and energy often simply does not register. The overall impression of youth and vitality carries the outfit. After 60, the accessories carry more of the visual weight because the overall impression is quieter, more considered, more settled. The eye has more time to rest on each detail. And a detail that reads as cheap becomes the thing the eye rests on. There is also a specific sensory quality that cheap accessories have that good ones do not. Pick up a piece of thin stamped metal and it feels light and hollow. Pick up a piece of good brass or sterling silver and the weight is honest, it has substance. Pick up a string of plastic beads and they click against each other with a dry hollow sound. Pick up a string of glass or stone beads and they make no sound at all, they sit silently together. These sensory differences are not just things you feel when you handle a piece. They are visible to anyone who looks at it being worn. The thinness of the metal reads. The uniformity of plastic reads. The quality or absence of quality communicates itself at a glance even from across a room. The fix does not require buying anything expensive. It requires editing. Go through your accessories and look at each piece honestly. Ask yourself, does this look like something that matters, or does it look like something disposable? Thin metal chains that have turned color. Plastic beads with a dull finish. Earrings with posts that have corroded. Bracelets that have warped slightly from being bent. These are the pieces to set aside, not necessarily to throw away, but to stop reaching for when you are trying to look put together. A single simple piece in metal that still has its finish, or a clean natural material like wood or shell or stone, reads as infinitely more considered than 3 cheap pieces worn together. Quality of impression, not quantity of price. That is the principle. And if that one just made you look at your jewelry box differently, stay with me. Because mistake number 5 is one that is easy to miss in your own accessories because you see them every day. And it is one of the most immediately telling details anyone else notices. Mistake number 5. Worn, damaged accessory. Stop wearing accessories that are visibly worn out. This is different from cheap. A piece can start out with good quality and become worn over years of use. A leather bag with a broken clasp. A scarf with a pulled thread at the edge. Earrings with the plating worn away at the tip. A bracelet with a clasp that no longer closes properly. A necklace chain with a kink that will not straighten. Each of these things, worn on an otherwise beautiful outfit, does something very specific. It introduces the visual language of neglect into an otherwise considered appearance. Here is why this registers so strongly. When we see something worn out, our brain reads it as something that was once cared for but is no longer being cared for. And that reading extends beyond the object to the person wearing it. An accessory in poor condition suggests, without a word being said, that things have been let go. That attention has slipped. And for a woman over 60 who is trying to project precisely the opposite, care, intention, presence, a worn-out accessory actively works against her. Before the audit itself, there is a maintenance step worth taking with the pieces you decide to keep. A soft cloth and 5 minutes can restore the surface of many metal pieces that have lost their brightness. A leather bag with a clean damp cloth and a conditioning treatment can be brought back from tired to considered. Costume jewelry that has developed a dull film can often be revived with a gentle polish. The point is not perfection. The point is intention. A piece that is slightly aged but clearly looked after reads very differently from a piece that is aged and neglected. The audit tells you which pieces to invest those 5 minutes in and which to set aside entirely. The fix is a simple audit. Take out your most used accessories and look at them with the eyes of someone seeing them for the first time. Look at the clasp. Look at the finish. Look at the edges. Look at the places where the material meets the hardware. If something has crossed the line from patina, which can be beautiful, into wear, it is time to retire it from your everyday rotation. You do not need to replace it immediately. You simply need to stop reaching for it until you have found something that holds its quality better. 1 piece in good condition is worth 10 in poor condition. Now, the number 1 is still waiting. And mistake number 4 is the one that dates the wearer more reliably than almost anything else in the wardrobe. Because it is not about condition or quality. It is about time. Mistake number 4, vintage or retro jewelry. Stop wearing accessories that belong to a specific decade rather than to you. Every era of fashion produces accessories with a very specific visual signature, and the women who lived through that era often cannot see that signature clearly because they were inside it. The chunky gold chain looked current in 2002 because everything around it was also current. Worn today, in isolation, it has a timestamp that reads clearly to everyone who was not living through that era when it first appeared. The large plastic bangles of the 80s. The chunky metallic necklaces of the early 2000s. The oversized square earrings of the 90s. The beaded multi-strand necklaces of the mid-2000s. Each of these looks had its moment, and that moment is visible and recognizable to the eye. When we see an accessory that belongs unmistakably to a specific era, our first reading is not of the person wearing it. It is of the era the accessory comes from. And that reading carries with it an automatic dating effect. The brain calculates backward from the accessory to the decade, and then to the age of the person wearing it. Here is something worth knowing about how the eye reads accessory age. A piece that is clearly old, but has a quality and simplicity that transcends its era reads as vintage. It could belong to any decade and still feel right. A piece that is clearly old and could only belong to one specific decade reads as dated. The test is simple. Could this piece be sold in a good boutique today as a considered choice? If yes, it is vintage. If the honest answer is no, it belongs to a specific era that has passed. Here is the distinction worth understanding. There is a difference between vintage, which has a timeless quality that is recognized as intentional, and dated, which reads as simply old. A piece of jewellery from the 1960s that still looks considered and modern reads as vintage and interesting. A piece of jewellery from 1992 that reads unmistakably as 1992 does not read as vintage. It reads as not updated, as something worn out of habit or sentiment rather than choice. The fix is to look at your accessory collection and identify the pieces that you chose in a specific decade and have not revisited since. Then hold each one up and ask honestly, does this look like a choice I am making today, or does it look like a habit I have continued without questioning? The pieces that pass that test stay. The pieces that are clearly a time capsule from another era can either be retired from daily wear or reappraised, because sometimes the right piece from the right era, worn with intention, is exactly what an outfit needs. But it has to be a choice, not a default. We are halfway through and the number one is still waiting. Mistake number 3 is the one I see most consistently in photographs and videos of women over 60 who are otherwise beautifully dressed. And it is the accessory choice that undermines the face more quietly and more consistently than any other. Mistake number 3. Too large, heavy earrings. Stop wearing earrings that are too large or too heavy for your face. Here is what large earrings do on a mature face that they did not do at 30. Large earrings, long drops, wide hoops, heavy chandelier styles, create visual downward pull from the ear. The eye follows the line of the earring downward, and in doing so, follows the line of the face downward at the same time. On a young face, where the jaw is tight and the cheek is lifted, this downward pull is counterbalanced by the upward energy of youth. On a mature face, where the natural direction of gravity has softened the jaw and the cheek slightly, adding additional visual pull downward amplifies rather than counterbalances that softening. The earring and the face pull in the same direction. And the result reads as heavier and older rather than elegant and bold. There is also the scale problem. A very large earring on a mature face creates a visual imbalance. The earring becomes the focal point, and the face recedes slightly behind it. At 30, this can read as fashion-forward. At 60, it reads as the earring wearing the woman rather than the woman wearing the earring. Here is a practical test for earring scale that works every time. Stand in front of a mirror and hold the earring next to your face without putting it on. Look at where the earring ends. If it ends at or just below the earlobe, the scale is almost certainly right. If it ends at the jaw or below the jaw, the earring is pulling the eye to exactly the place you least want visual emphasis on a mature face. If it ends at mid-cheek, the earring is competing with the cheekbone for the eye's attention. The earlobe is the correct ending point. Anything below the earlobe is adding visual downward pull that the face does not benefit from. The fix is not to give up statement earrings. It is to choose statement earrings that create visual interest at the ear rather than visual pull toward the jaw. A beautiful stud in an interesting shape. A small structured drop that reaches the earlobe but does not hang below it significantly. A simple hoop no wider than the width of the cheekbone. These are the earring styles that frame the face and draw the eye upward toward it, rather than pulling the eye downward away from it. The statement is made by the quality of the piece and the intention behind it, not by its size. Now, 2 mistakes left. And the number 1 is the one that I want you to really think about when we get there, because it is the mistake that is hiding in plain sight for most women over 60. It is the most democratic mistake on this list, meaning it affects women at every income level and every style level equally. And it is the most immediately reversible. First, mistake number 2, which is the one that most people would never guess is a mistake at all, because it involves something that feels like more, not less. Mistake number 2. Wrong bag size. Stop carrying a bag that is the wrong size for your frame. Here is what a bag does to the visual reading of a figure that most women never consciously notice. A bag creates a horizontal shape that sits against the body at a specific height. That horizontal shape interrupts the vertical line of the figure at exactly the point where it rests. If the bag is very large, a tote or an oversized shopper, it creates a wide horizontal element that reads as a second set of hips, visually widening the figure at the level it sits. If the bag is very small, a tiny clutch or a miniature crossbody, it looks like a deliberate style choice in some contexts, but on a mature figure it can read as an afterthought, as if the outfit is not quite complete. After 60, the most consistently flattering bag size is one that is proportionate to the frame and to the occasion rather than one that makes a statement through scale alone. A medium-sized structured bag, roughly the size that allows a wallet, a phone, and a few essentials without overflowing, sits against the body and reads as part of the outfit rather than as a separate element competing with it. The shape matters as much as the size. A structured bag with clean lines reads as intentional. A shapeless tote that sags under its own weight reads as functional, but not considered. There is also the question of how the bag relates to the rest of the outfit in tone and intention. A very casual bag, a canvas tote, a fabric shopper, worn with a structured outfit introduces a tonal mismatch that undermines the polish of everything else. A very formal bag, a rigid miniature clutch, worn with casual clothes creates the same register confusion. The bag should be in the same tonal and intentional universe as the outfit. Casual with casual. Smart with smart. The color does not need to match exactly. In fact, a deliberate contrast in tone can be beautiful, but the formality register should be consistent. There is also the placement question. A crossbody bag worn across the chest creates a diagonal line that draws the eye across rather than down. This is almost universally more flattering on a mature figure than a shoulder bag that weighs down one side. A top handle bag carried in the hand creates elegance, but requires posture to carry well. It is not practical for a long shopping trip, but is beautiful for an evening or a lunch. The fix is to look at the bags you use regularly and ask, is this bag proportionate to me, or is it overwhelming me? Is it held together and structured, or is it shapeless and functional? The right bag at the right size is the accessory that makes an outfit feel complete without drawing attention to itself. And now, the number 1. The one I promised at the beginning. The one that is most common, most visible, and most immediately fixable. And the one that, when I describe it, most women recognize instantly in their own habits. Mistake number 1. Too many accessories all at once. Stop wearing too many accessories at the same time. This sounds simple. And in principle, everyone has heard some version of this advice. But here is what actually happens when the advice is given without the reasoning behind it. A woman hears take one thing off before you leave the house, follows it as a rule, and still ends up wearing 5 things instead of 6 without understanding why the principle actually works. Here is the visual principle. Every accessory creates a focal point, a place where the eye pauses and registers something. When there is one focal point, the eye goes there, notes it, appreciates it, and moves on to the face. When there are 2 focal points in harmony, the eye notes both and finds a relationship between them. When there are 3 or more focal points competing for attention simultaneously, earrings, necklace, bracelet, watch, rings, scarf, the eye cannot settle. It bounces between the competing elements and never fully arrives at the face. The face, which is where expression, warmth, personality, and beauty live, becomes something the eye is still working toward when the conversation has already moved on. On a mature face, this is particularly costly. The goal of every element of an appearance after 60 should be directing the eye toward the face rather than away from it. Every accessory that competes with the face for the eye's attention is working against this goal, regardless of how beautiful that accessory is on its own. Let me give you a specific example of what this looks like in practice. A woman wearing pearl stud earrings, a simple gold chain necklace, a watch, 2 rings, and a scarf tied around her neck is wearing 6 things. Each of these pieces might be beautiful on its own. But together, the eye has 6 different elements to register before it reaches her face. Now imagine the same woman wearing only the pearl studs and the simple gold chain. The eye notes the earrings, notes the chain, and then, because there's nothing else competing, goes directly to her face. The face is the thing you see. In the first version, the face is the thing you eventually reach. After 60, that difference is everything. The fix is not a number. It is a principle. Choose one accessory that you want to be the story: the earring, the necklace, the scarf, the ring. Let that piece do its work. Everything else should be quiet enough that it does not speak over it. This does not mean wearing only one thing. It means being intentional about which element is the centerpiece and disciplined about everything else supporting it rather than competing with it. Here is a practical way to apply this tomorrow morning. Before you leave the house, stand in front of a full-length mirror and ask one honest question: where does my eye go first? Not where do I want it to go. Where does it actually go, in the first half second before you redirect it? If it goes to your face, your accessories are working correctly. If it goes to the necklace, to the earrings, to the bracelet, to the scarf, if it goes anywhere other than your face first, something is competing that should not be. Take off the piece that competes the most loudly. Look again. Repeat until the first place your eye goes is your face. That is the right combination for that day. Before we close, here is the one principle that holds every mistake on this list together. It is the same principle whether we are talking about cheap pieces, worn pieces, dated pieces, oversized earrings, the wrong bag size, or too many things at once. Accessories are not decoration. They are direction. They tell the eye where to look. And after 60, the most important direction you can give the eye is toward your face, toward the warmth and intelligence and presence that lives there. Every accessory that pulls the eye away from the face is working against you, regardless of how much you love it. And every accessory that draws the eye toward the face, a beautiful earring at the right scale, a clean simple necklace at the right length, a single piece in honest good condition, is doing exactly what you need it to do. Pick one mistake from this list. Not the one you think you should fix first. The one you recognize most honestly in your own daily habit. The one where, as I was describing it, you thought, yes, that is me. Start there. Make one change tomorrow morning. Just one deliberate and considered change. Come back and tell me what you noticed. Tell me what someone said. Tell me if you looked in the mirror and something was different about what you saw. Tell me if making one small change created a result that surprised you, because it often does. The changes on this list are small. The results are frequently not small at all. I read every single comment that comes in on this channel, and I genuinely mean every single word of that. If this helped you today, share it with one woman in your life who might see herself in one of these mistakes. You do not need to say anything about why. Just send it. She will understand completely why you thought of her, and she will thank you for it. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Next week I am covering the 6 shoe mistakes that quietly age women over 60, including the one that every style guide gets consistently wrong, and the free fix that is already sitting in your wardrobe right now without you realizing it. That one surprises almost everyone who hears it. You will not want to miss it. I want to say one more thing before you go. Every mistake on this list is a habit, not a flaw. These are things that happened gradually, over years, without anyone pointing them out. The cheap pieces accumulated. The worn pieces were kept out of familiarity. The old pieces were never revisited. The habit of reaching for everything continued unchecked. None of this reflects poorly on you. It simply reflects what happens when we do not pause to look at our accessories with the same fresh eyes we would use to look at a stranger's. You are not running out of style. You are not running out of elegance. You are simply at the point where careful attention to a few small things, the condition of what you wear, the scale of what you choose, the number of things you reach for at once, makes the difference between an appearance that says intention and one that says habit. And today you learned exactly where to look, precisely what to look for, and what to do about what you find. Tell me below which of these 6 mistakes you recognized.